Hello, welcome to Trying Success here on the Old Fashioned Health Network. Good health inside and out. Welcome to my podcast. I have one of my very good friends on my show today. This is Dr. Carissa Hines. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Absolutely wonderful. I'm so glad you came.
I am happy to be here, even though I didn't know that I was going to be doing
She
this
didn't
today.
know, y'all.
So I'm just going to tell y'all out in podcast land, this is what your friends will do to you.
Yeah.
They'll invite you to come to
Yeah.
see their space and tour their space and then say, oh, by the way, since you're here,
Yeah.
why don't we sit down and do this podcast episode? But
You
this is
only,
what your friends do to you.
You only have to do that to those friends that have such a busy, professional, productive schedule. So I had to squeeze it in when I could. I didn't even tell her. But you see, she's already done. This is one thing.
But I'm here because this is my friend. So.
You could never catch her not ready at any time. I'm going to tell you why I'm thinking about it. So you've been keeping up with tennis, right? You've been keeping up with Coco?
A little bit.
Okay. So Carissa has a daughter that runs track.
Yep, I do.
And they tight like Venus and Serena Williams with their father. That's like you are with your daughter and their husband about them doing the track thing. So when Coco won, I don't know why your daughter and you came to my mind. I think the lady she was up in the stands dancing and carrying on.
Yes.
That was you.
Oh, that is all the way me.
Yeah.
So let me just let y'all know I'm that mom that will be in the stands screaming and crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
And you've seen some of the videos that
I
I
have,
posted, and I always have
daughter.
to put the little thing in like ignore the crazy screaming lady because that's me.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, I just feel like when you have children, you have to support them, especially when they're doing good things.
Right.
Just show up.
Right.
That's a big part of setting your children up for success, that they know who's going to show up for them. Right.
And you do that.
I do the best I can. And my husband too. I got to give him credit. Like we show up and sometimes act out, but that's okay too.
But I thought about when I saw Coco, I was like, and her mom, I was like, that is Carissa. All up in the stands, just dancing, won't let just.
But now let me ask you, because when I saw a little bit of it, but when she won, didn't it feel like you were proud of her, like you knew her?
Like I was right down there.
Isn't that amazing?
I'm gonna tell you what's also, it's amazing, and it's a connection that we have.
Right.
It's a connection. We love, but you know what?
What?
Y'all, I know this is so wrong. I just want to put a disclaimer out there. I probably really shouldn't even say this.
Oh, God.
I probably shouldn't even say it. But when something happens that's bad, and you be like, what do they look like?
Well, with the way the media is now, they're going to tell you, So if they don't tell you, then you already know.
And when you do find out it wasn't somebody that looked at you, be like, yes, thank you, Jesus, because we can't stand you.
Well, but that's because we are one of a few races and a few cultures in the world that when one of us does something that is not positive, criminal, whatever,
right,
the whole of us gets cast in that light.
That's exactly right.
Right?
Right.
But that doesn't happen. Like you don't see, for example, if a Caucasian person is a serial killer, they're not naming all white folks. They're not, putting that out there to be cautious of all white folks. Right. It's just that one.
Right.
But that is not a grace that we are afforded.
Right.
So that's a real thing.
Yeah, it
whenever
is.
You see that, it's just like, oh gosh, why, Lord?
Yes, right. So it works for the good and the bad. That's right. Yeah. The connection with Coco. I was like, oh my God, I was happy.
Well, I was telling someone yesterday, when we were watching, or was that the day before yesterday, when we were watching Coco, and I was telling them that I watched the Louis Vuitton men's fashion show.
Okay.
Because Pharrell Williams is the new director of the men's side of the house after Virgil Abloh passed away. And I watched that show. I've seen it twice, and every time I watch it, I am almost in tears, and I'm so proud and happy for him.
Yeah.
Because he is from my home area.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So I'm from Norfolk. He's from Virginia Beach. So it's the same, same area.
Right.
And so to see someone from my home area, which he's been famous with the music and all of that.
Right.
But to see him continue to expand and to go into new avenues and do well and be well received. And it was a beautiful show.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. Like, I don't know Mr. Pharrell Williams, but it was just like he was my friend. Like, we grew up,
We grew up together.
we grew up at home together, and I was just that proud of him and proud for him. And that's the thing that's neat about being Black in America, that we can have that shared pride, even though we don't know them.
Right.
And maybe it goes back to, I'm sure you remember growing up, and I'm old enough to remember growing up, that it really was a village that you lived in.
Yeah.
Right? So when you did something wrong, everybody in the neighborhood knew about it and would get on you about it.
Yeah.
Or when you did something good,
everybody
praised you.
Yeah.
You know, and so for me, that's just kind of that feeling of watching Coco, watching Pharrell, is just a remnant of that.
Right.
But I don't know that kids today have that, because you know you can't say stuff to people's children.
No, it seemed like what they seem to be, what I could tell, I love her, but they're more excited about the entertainment world of supporting than you see anything of academics or a different type of success.
Well, but you know what that is. So a lot of people in entertainment, particularly when you talk about rap or hip hop, come from similar environments than their fan base. Right. And so when you see someone who is from that environment and they make some level of success, then it's like, oh, okay, that's something to model yourself after.
Right.
Another thing is the unfortunate appearance of overnight success. Right. And so people think, oh, this so-and-so just got on. But what they don't see, and what we all who are successful people need to talk about, is the things you don't see. Right. So all of the hours, for example, if you are a rapper, all the hours that you put into preparing your song and getting your flow down, and all of the shows where it was only 10 people in the audience, and that kind of stuff, and all the rejection
behind the
all
scenes
of those things to get to, because you can look at someone and say, oh, they're successful, but you don't see, because they're not carrying all of that on them, you don't see their story. Right? All you see is the success from today. But if you don't know me, you don't know you don't know what that journey was. So
I could attest to that. Even with all the things that I have going on, people can look as like, boy, you got it made.
No,
I'm blessed. I made it.
I made it.
My friend Carissa can tell you, Carissa, listen, girl, I'm a little hungry. Can you help me out? And she's fed me. I ain't got a problem with telling people, But it takes a village, and that's part of my village,
Right. That's right.
I told Doc today we were going to talk about the subconscious mind. So we'll talk a little bit about that and kind of tie in a little bit about the medical piece.
Okay.
But I also want people to know before the end of the show, Doc has an amazing radio show. She's going to be on a different station soon. I'm going to let her tell you all about that. Well, I can tell because I do know what it is.
He can tell you.
Yeah, because I be pushing her. I'm trying to push her to go ahead and do this talk show. She just, Lord have mercy, Jesus. But anyway, Doc, the subconscious mind, we were talking about people willing themselves to better health.
Yes.
And I was telling people, like, the subconscious mind, sometimes if you ever watch some of the videos where they talk about the subconscious mind, and this is part 2, because people have asked me, said, when is your part 2 coming out? So today I decided my part 2 was coming out because I had somebody that can help me substantiate a different kind of medical twist to it, a more healthy twist to it.
Okay.
And we were talking about people healing, willing themselves to live and or to be healthy. Tell me from your perspective, what does that look like on a health spectrum when it talks about the subconscious mind?
So, there is a very powerful mind-body connection, right? And we see it all the time. You see people who are at the end of their life, but they will will themselves to live or to not die until a certain person shows up, right?
Okay.
Because when you look at the body standpoint, the body is failing.
Right.
So there's nothing to be done for that. So what is keeping that person going?
Wow.
So it's got to be something, of course, people tap into their spiritual, right? But there has to be something in the mindset of, I want to stay alive until I see this person.
Right.
or, and we were just talking a few minutes ago about manifesting. And that is something that I am newly trying to do, because one of my sorority sisters was telling me about what she does. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to try that because it doesn't cost me anything and it's not going to take any more time or less time to do.
Right.
But it really is training my mind to see the things that I want and to put that out into the universe, because there is this, and Oprah says this too, that when you put things out into the universe conspires to give you those things.
And I can speak on that. It does.
Yeah. So, a lot of the times it's the thought, but I am working more so on being verbal, and I'm talking to absolutely no one when I'm saying my manifestations, but I'm speaking it out. I'm giving it space, and I'm saying the things that I want to do or that I wish for myself. And you can do that with your health too. Now, let me just say, as a physician, that's not all that you have to do, right?
Right.
Because it's a multifaceted puzzle. So if you got to have a doctor or health team, that's the first thing, right? And taking the recommendations or working with your health team to get a plan that works for you there, because some people don't want to just do what their doctor tells them to do. And healthy skepticism is a good thing, I guess. But then there is the mental piece of it. Now, when you have a chronic illness, that can be very draining, and a lot of mental health issues go along with chronic disease, most notably depression. And so, it can be difficult to self-talk or positive talk your way out of that. But it helps. When you say to yourself, so for example, one of the things that I am manifesting, and I put it out, that I wanted to do more things to make myself a healthier person. And I wanted to get out and move more. And every day since I did that, we're on week 2.5 now, I have gotten up most mornings and walked my dog. Even when I don't feel like it, even when it's early and hot or whatever. Now, I haven't tested that with weather because it hasn't rained yet, where, I'm testing how committed I am to this manifestation. But, but there's been something in me that has said, it's time to get up and move.
So let me tell you this.
Okay.
You said that something that's inside that when you say you absolutely not talking to anybody, but you just speaking.
Right.
Here's what I learned about that. I have a really good friend. His name is Ryan, and Ryan has this podcast called Big God Knowledge. Big God Knowledge. And he talks a lot about the God that's in you. Now, in scripture, for those that read the Bible, it talks about we're made in his own image.
Yes.
And so with that, it also helped me to tap into the God within me, and it talks about you would do greater works even than I, so I try to remember those things. And so when I'm thinking about something that I want to do, and I was doing it unconsciously, subconsciously actually doing it, even with the Kids of Chefs Educational Academy, or with the production kitchen, I remember I had another kitchen before the one we have now that we were working at. And I envisioned myself having that kitchen. Carissa, I was thinking about that thing so much. I knew exactly what I wanted those individual cooking stations to be. What you saw with it is exactly what I got. Mind you, you have to think about it in a sense of not worrying about what it would cost to get it, but you have to focus on getting it. If you pay attention to the cost, and that means money or time or energy, you can't manifest it. You have to manifest beyond the cost. You have to manifest beyond the obstacles. Once you get past that part, that's when you win.
Well, the first thing you have to do, and this is what you did, what you just said, you had a vision.
Yeah, I did.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you had a vision, and then that led to you having a plan, and then that led to you executing that plan, and then that led to you manifesting that plan.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So all of those things have to go. But if you don't have a vision for yourself, then you really can't have the rest of it.
That's the big part of it. You got to have a vision.
You have to have a vision.
You got to have a vision.
And even with your health, when you go in, and I talk a lot about how to talk to your doctor, because we can be intimidating people, not me, but we can be intimidating people. And you get nervous when you go to the doctor and you forget all the things that you want to ask until your visit is over, and then you have all of these questions. But if you put it into your mind, my doctor is here to help me, right? And you are manifesting that person. Now, whether that's your current doctor or a doctor that's coming for you in the future.
Okay.
Right? Because I believe that when you start manifesting and you start putting these things out, the obstacles that are there all of a sudden get moved out of your way.
You should right.
And you don't have to do a whole lot, and then that leaves a lot open.
Right.
So I was listening to a speaker this weekend, and she had us to hold a water bottle, right? A full water bottle. And she's like, it's not very heavy at first. Right. And, the longer you held it, the heavier it got. And she was using that analogy to talk about conflict management. So, you mad with somebody and you holding on to that anger.
Right.
And the longer you hold on to it, the heavier it gets. Right. But then she said something too, that when you are holding on to this, then you are not open to receive something else.
Right. That's true.
And so when you are holding on to, from a health standpoint, the fear or anxiety about that, then you kind of are not making space, in my humble opinion, you're not making space for that particular doctor to come into your life and be that doctor that you need.
To help you with your healing.
Right.
That is so, Doctor, that's good, because I know, and if she's watching this podcast, she needs to have a knee surgery really bad. She had a bad experience previously. She's still holding on to that experience, and now she won't get her knees done. She keeps finding ways to say, no, I got to make sure I trust, because she's blocking her healing now.
Well, but you do, and once you've had that one experience, you are once bitten, twice shy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so that's a real thing.
Right.
Especially if you had a hard time with your healing and things didn't go well, and maybe there was some errors made, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Because you were already nervous to go to begin with and have surgery and anesthesia and all of that.
Right.
And now on top of all of that, you didn't have a good outcome or the outcome that you wanted. So it's like compounding that fear. But whoever that is, find you another doctor. If that doctor doesn't work for you, there are plenty. Right?
Yes.
So find another doctor and get your knees fixed, because you probably are in pain, and you don't have to live like that. So
I hope she's listening to
get
this.
your knees done. Okay.
Yes.
There.
Yes. And that mind, to me, that's what I like about the subconscious mind. The mind is a powerful thing. I've done some things, y'all, that I know it wasn't nobody but me focusing on the God in me to get it out. I so believe in God, y'all, just to get that out there. But the God that I know that's in me helps me do a whole lot of things that I thought I could not definitely do.
Well, I mean, like it says in the book, faith without works
dead
is dead.
Yeah, and I think people sometimes, even when it comes to biblical practices, they misinterpret, or they do not. They misinterpret the Bible, or had to put a whole spin on it that should not be, and it makes it harder for certain people to understand or accept certain things, and it's because we can do a lot. That's what we are here for, to be able to do as much as you think you really want to do. Your mind is powerful, but when you start thinking, well, you're gonna get punished because you didn't do this, or your mind ain't gonna be able to do that, and it's just that's a whole nother podcast conversation. But
well, there's a whole lot with that, right? Because I talk with my daughter about this all the time, that she worries about performance, school, track, whatever. And, she starts off with a negative. And I just stop her. I was like, I'm not even going to listen to this.
Right.
I won't hear it.
Right.
Because the thing hasn't even happened yet, and you're already
discredited,
manifesting a negative.
Yeah.
I was like, no, we're not doing that.
Right.
Now, you may win, you may get an A, or you
Right.
may not.
Right.
But if you defeat yourself before you get started, you definitely are going to be
lose.
defeated.
Right.
You're going to be defeated.
Right.
And the other person or the other team, your opponent or whatever, didn't have to do a thing. You did all the work.
You did all the work for them. Wow.
Right?
I like
And
that.
so, and then also too, when you have to mind your circle.
Yes.
So
Yes,
again,
yes.
as it says in the Bible, and y'all forgive me that I can't quote the chapter and verse, but it says, as iron sharpens iron, so does a man's friend sharpen his countenance.
Well,
So it's who you are around. Are you around friends that are going to sharpen you? And are you sharpening them? Because see, everybody don't want you to be sharp.
Sure don't.
Everybody in your circle don't want you to win.
You better say that.
And so you got to be mindful of your circle, because some of them are not rooting for them. And I tell my daughter this too. I tell her all the time. I was like, when you win, you got to look and see who's clapping for you. But more importantly, you got to look and see who's not.
Wow. And I hope she remembers that, because it sure make a difference. Because that way, as you tend to grow, you won't be so shocked when you really see it for real.
Well, you can have some discernment.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then and I tell her, I'm like, I'm not saying don't be friends with that person.
Right.
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 But put them in the proper put that friendship in the proper perspective.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
And again, it's all about that mindful manifest that
Right.
I want to manifest being around people who are supportive and encouraging of me.
Wow.
And I want people who mean me no good to be away from me. Remove those obstacles.
Right.
And you'll be surprised how people will start to
fall
fall off.
Fall off.
People
Ooh.
will start to fall off and fall away. And you'll wonder like,
What happened?
what happened?
You don't have to get rid of anybody. They get rid of
No,
themselves.
they get rid of themselves.
Yeah, they get rid of
They
themselves.
do.
And we have a habit of trying to hold on to them.
Mm-mm.
Just let them go. They not trying to be. Everybody's not gonna get there with you.
That's true.
Everybody's gonna get there with you. Doc, I want to
Yes.
thank you so much for being on my podcast.
You are
I want
most
to tell y'all
certainly
really
welcome.
little quickly. Dr. Hines has an amazing radio show. It's on Love 860. You can listen to it on iHeartRadio, and I think your show is at 11:30 now. Or
It's going to be at 2
that's right.
to 3.
2 to 3.
So we moved time. We were from 11 to 12 on Thursdays, but we moved our time to 2 to 3. And our season 5 starts the first Thursday in October. I don't know what that date is. I think it's October 5th
Okay.
is that date. That's when we'll be back on the air.
Shall make sure. And you're gonna. I'm hoping she will start doing at least a podcast once a month, because it's listening to her on the radio is great. It's a lot of fun listening to her on the radio.
Thank you.
But you also get in a more personable time when they could just, you can do what you do best when you teach, and like you do what you
think
do.
about it.
Yeah. See how she's trying not to gain that. I've been trying to pull her into this for the longest. Y'all, thank y'all so much for listening to Trying Success here on the Old Fashioned Health
Thanks,
Network.
y'all.
Good health inside and out. We out.
Bye.